The release of the book, The Lives of the Children of Manasia, written by our friend Hillel Halkin and Thangjom. This book was written a few years to be completed, and over 170 older members of our community, the Bnei Menashe, were interviewed and their testimonies recorded and now are accessible in this book. I would like to invite Mr. Pawan Pal, the Secretary of Diplomacy, to give us a few words on our event for the evening.
Thank you. I welcome you all to the Indian Culture Center. And as you all know, Indian Culture Center is very famous nowadays in Israel. We are holding many yoga classes and other classes like Marathi classes are going on nowadays. So I welcome you all again to the Indian Culture Center. Thank you, Isaac. Thank you, Mr. Hillel, for the amazing book. I have gone through the book and it was very interesting because I think it is the first time we have a book on Bnei Menashe.
Actually, this is the second.
And the kind of cultural diversity this book has given us, because if you see, if you read the book, it is giving a kind of interviews which I think Isaac conducted in Manipur with the Kuki tribe that we have in India. And I think the diversity which we have among the Indian Jewish community here, it is worth considering and worth research, because we have Indian Jews from Arabian Sea, we have Indian Jews from Indian Ocean side, we have Indian Jews from the coast of Bay of Bengal, we have Indian Jews from far east of India. So this book represents Bnei Menashe Jews from the far east of India, the lost tribes which we all call. And I really hope you will all read the book and give the reviews, and we'll have again a kind of event like this for the third book on the Indian Jews in Israel. So I welcome you all again, and I really congratulate Isaac and Mr. Hillel for this amazing book. Thank you all. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Rania and Lawan. I need to correct something that each of you said, just so there's no misconceptions. First of all, Isaac and I did not write this book. The people who wrote it were the 12 people whom we interviewed and told their life stories, some of whom are here, and we will be introduced in the course of my remarks. Isaac and I were just really the facilitators. And if this book has real heroes, it's the 12 people who interviewed them and told their stories. The second thing I just wanted to correct Pawan, the interviews were not done in Manasia-Book, and they were all done here. They were all done with elderly members of the Bnei Menashe community in Israel who had come to this country in the last 25 or so years. And we wanted to go back a little bit. So we've come more recently. And we chose, Isaac and I, to interview the older members of the community for two reasons, which are connected. One is that these are the people with the memories both of Kuki and Mizo culture in India and the formation of the Bnei Menashe movement in Northeast India that go the furthest back and are the most reliable. Secondly, these are old people. And we knew when we began working on this book that if we didn't do it now, it would be too late. And the fact is that we were right. Of the 12 people who we interviewed, 2 are no longer with us. 2 have passed away in several years since this book, since we finished working on interviewing ourselves. Several others are quite ill today. We're unable to attend tonight because of one kind or another infirmity. If we hadn't reached them when we did, their stories would have been lost forever. These are, for the most part, stories that they have not passed down to their children for different reasons, to their grandchildren. and that would simply have perished with them if we had not collected them in the nick of time. And there are many other stories we didn't collect. We collected 12, and we collected 12 very important life stories, but many others slipped us by and will be lost. Now, why do I think this is such an important book? I think it is because the Bnei Menashe community, although it's a small one, we're talking about some 5,000 people now in Israel and another 5,000 in India who are waiting to come to Israel, is a community with an amazing story. An amazing modern story, and if you give some credit to its claim, the claim that has been made for it, to have a connection with the ancient biblical tribe of Manasia, an amazing ancient story. I'm not going to go into the ancient aspect of it, but I'll just say that when I first went to Northeast India in 1998 to write a book on this subject, I subsequently returned 2 more times in 1999 and 2000. I assumed, like many other people, that this whole story of a biblical lost tribe, and ancient connection to biblical Israel, I assumed it was all just modern auto-suggestion and modern fabrication, and there couldn't possibly be any substance to it. I mean, it's just too weird to think of people living in the remotest regions of Northeast India, the foothills of the Himalayas, should have any connection to biblical Israel. I came away from my research, which I did the best I could. I didn't have all the tools I should have had. But I came away from it utterly bewildered. It was clear to me, and it is clear now, that there is a connection of some sort. And in an afterword to this book, I try to explain why. There is a connection. This people is in some mysterious way related historically to the ancient tribe of Menashe. We can speculate why, but I'll stop here on that. But the modern story of the Bnei Menashe is also extremely dramatic and interesting. Because it's a story of how initially a few hundred people in the most remote region of Northeast India, people who had never seen a Jew in their lives, people who knew almost nothing about Judaism, apart except from what they had read in the Hebrew Bible, the Old Testament as it's called, how these several hundred people in the 1970s began to find their way one by one, sometimes as a group, sometimes as individuals, began to find their way towards Judaism. On their own, without outside help, without outside connections. That help and those connections came later. They were not part of the original movement. And the story these people have to tell, and the courage they showed in defying their society and their social norms and their religious norms, and leaving the churches they were in and coming to Judaism, is in itself an extraordinary dramatic story. And a story that I think has something to say to all of us about Judaism itself, about its appeals, about its relationship to Christianity and to other religions. Now, this is a story that has really never been told well, or hasn't been told hardly at all. So it's a story that's surrounded by myth, and on and on. All of these myths are totally dispelled by the book that we have just finished. If you read the stories of these 12 individuals, several of whom, as I said, are here tonight, you can simply tell without any pretenses, without any ambitions to convince anyone of anything, simply tell about their lives, their childhoods, many of which lived in small villages in the jungle, in the far reaches of the states of Manipur and Mizoram. When you read these stories, you simply see what the truth of this movement called the Bnei Menashe is, where it came from. And this book, therefore, precisely as I say, because the people who tell these stories will not be with us for much longer, this book will be an indispensable reference book in the future for anybody who wants to know about the Bnei Menashe community, anybody who wants to understand where it came from and why it came from there and the way it did. So what I would like to do now, first of all, is to present books to those of our interviewees who are here tonight. There are 4 or 5 of them. As I said, 2 have passed away, several others couldn't come. Isaac, you have books?
Yes, I have.
Yes, yes.
咁應該到決定我可以interview 我希望啦，即係咁樣希望我係participate 啦，就我想寫希望嘅點寫。
And I want to thank you all, really, on my behalf, on Isaac's behalf, on behalf of Saber Minkus, who I'm going to mention in a minute, who gave us great support for this book. I want to thank you all for making this book possible. You've done something of great value.
都係跟歐時寫，歐時寫我咁樣嘅把佢嘅程度嘅。came out though, it's not Thangjom though, it's not Saber Minkus, behind us our Hillel. About here, I think you want to do it.
So I'm going to call on you one by one. I would like you to come up and receive this book from me. Again, with my thanks and my gratitude for all you've done for us.
都係把定咯，都等嘅時候你冇比較吸引到佢咁嘅，即係把定嚟嘅，但係佢冇嘅咯。
The first person here was also the first interview, and the book is, she goes by the name of Nemboy Miriam Kanke. Thank you very much. This woman has an amazing story to tell. And Hillel Halkin was a sergeant in the Indian Army. We saw several wars. Was our first interview. I met Hillel first in Imphal, capital of Manipur, in 1999. He's a little younger now than he was then. Hillel was the first interview we did for this book. It was really our trial interview. Saber Minkus, who I'm going to speak about in a minute, was there and present at that interview. So it was really Hillel that began this whole process. And Hillel, thank you. Just tell them. Ruth Benjamin is here?
Yes.
Most of the interviewees in this book are from Manipur, as are which has the larger number of Bnei Menashe members. But Ruth is from Mizoram, and her story is therefore one of the particularly important ones because it's one of the only 3 or 4 that we have in this book from Mizoram. And Ruth, I thank you very, very much. Mansat Kirkin.
Yes.
In fact, we want to thank you again very, very much. Mansat is in Kit Alba, and he's been there for many, many years now. He comes from a community in Manipur, which was actually the head of the community, and it had the very Indian name of Petach Tikva. And I mean, imagine a little village in Manipur called Petach Tikva. It was entirely composed of Bnei Menashe. And Mansat was the head of the community until he came to Israel in what year? 2002? 2002. Mansat, thank you very much. And finally, I would like to ask Hillel to come up on behalf of his father. Hillel is himself a person of note and importance in the Bnei Menashe community. He is the current chairman of the Bnei Menashe Council in Manipur, which is the one roof organization of the Bnei Menashe community in India. And his father Hillel Halkin passed away 2 years ago now.
Last
The age of 96, right? The age of 96. He was the oldest of our interviewees, and again, we caught him just in time. And that was a very interesting story. And Lalo is part of the reason Lalo's story is so interesting is it's not at all difficult in most of the interviews. In our book, Lalo's father was relatively very well educated for Bnei Menashe. He went to college in India. He was an Indian high civil servant, and the trajectory of his life was very different from that of most of our other interviewees, who themselves took many different paths. You'll see it when we read this book, how variegated this little community is in terms of the people who are drawn to it and who are drawn together to create it and to join it. So Lalo, this is for you, and also with appreciation for what your father did for us. I want to express my great appreciation to you for putting out a book that not every publisher would have wanted to put out. Not because it isn't a fascinating book, it is. But many publishers would have just said, what? There's no sex in it, there's no crime, there's no murder mysteries, we're not taking it. And Hillel said, I'm going to publish this book, and he did. And I wish you many happy sales of it. And
so, first of all, thank you everybody for coming tonight. And I'll say that getting a book from an author autograph is definitely a very unique thing for me. I think that being a publisher for the past 41 years is a task that I inherited from my father, who celebrated 96 this week. I think that when you look at his history, he came to the United States in 1947. And my mother was a Holocaust survivor. It's the importance of Jews and the Jewish people and the land of Israel all over the world. The name of our company is Gefen, which stands for Gesund, Parnusse, Nachas, which means we should enjoy what we do, we should make a living, and we should have a lot of nachas from. We should have more joy from it.
It sounds slightly apocryphal.
Right, and the thing is that publishing Jewish books is really a task that you have to decide that you love doing and you want to do. Because when Hillel called me with his book, I said, oh my God, don't tell me another one of these books that no one is interested in, that no one wants to. And what Hillel said is true. It's not because it's not a good book. It's because most of us today take these small machines, we read 2 lines, and we think we know everything in the world. We don't understand that in order to know something, you really have to delve into it, you have to read. I was talking here before to someone, and we said, most people look at someone and they already know how bad he is. They already know how good he is, without knowing anything. Ignorance is probably one of our biggest enemies, certainly in this era. Because everybody thinks they know everything after they hear one word. They read the newspaper, one headline, they think they know everything, although 99% of the cases the headlines are not true. They don't tell the story of the article. And I think when you called me up and told me about the book, I looked at it and I said, the question is it good for Jews? Is it good for the Jewish people? Is it good for Israel? And that's our line of direction of publishing. And I think that it's definitely a story that has to be told. And again, I spoke to quite a few people around here, and I think what's important is that Israelis have to learn about this too, not only Americans. Americans love these communities and they help because it gives them something to do, gives them Jewish identity. I don't know if you heard once, but Sharansky once said, the Jews of America wanted to go back to prison. Because when I was in prison, they had what to do. They could make conferences, they could make demonstrations, they were all together. Today I'm here, they don't know what to do. And I think that that's something that unifies us Jews when we have some problems. So I really hope that we will sell a lot. I think that with the Federation of New Mexico, we'll definitely get the word out and we'll spread it out to different places. With our friend who's going to write for the Indian newspapers, I'm sure we'll have a lot of different Indians who will buy the book, and hopefully they'll learn, hopefully in 20 years down the road, the Bnei Menashe won't be a unique thing that no one knows about, but everybody will know who Bnei Menashe and how they belong to us and how we belong to them. So, thank you very much.
Thank you. And finally, there's one more person here who I would like to honor with a book tonight. And she is somebody who is not directly related to the book itself, but has done a tremendous amount for the Bnei Menashe community. This is a woman named Mimi Ephraimson, who is now standing. For several years, has secretly been giving a very nice sum of money every year to provide scholarships for the Bnei Menashe community, for young people in the Bnei Menashe community who want to study academic or vocational subjects in colleges and community schools. Why do I say secretly? Because you didn't allow us to publish your name.
But if we'll help other people give, they can publish my name.
Right. We're now removing the veil from our secret donorsness, and you're looking at it for the first time. And seriously, we all, the entire Bnei Menashe community is enormously indebted and grateful to you and for what you have done. There are many young people in the Bnei Menashe community today, I hope there will be many more, who have managed to reach a point in their studies. Some of them already have BAs, some of them already have MAs. Some of them are here tonight who have reached that point only because of it. And
It was worth it.
very much to give you a book tonight.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Rania, by the way, is one of the students, so would you be...
Yes, I am. Yes, so thank you. Thank you, Hillel, for your contribution and for being such a loyal friend of our community. And now I have the pleasure of introducing Sabbath River, a very consistent supporter of our community. And she's from the Federation of New Mexico. And I would like to please speak up some words. Thank you.
I'm not going to give you the long story of how I got involved with the Bnei Menashe, but I'll give you parts of it. If you want to know more, I'll be glad to go into detail. I first went to Manipur in 2004, and I never dreamed that someday, years later, I would be in Israel with all of you in the cultural center of the Indian Embassy, celebrating this amazing book. In 2004, I found myself in Northeast India with friends from Chicago, where I was living. We brought a Sefer Torah to the community. We first went to Aizawl, and then we went to Imphal and to many of the villages. I remember Churchampur, just because that was an easy one to say, and that name has been used in some Bollywood movies. We brought this to a community that we had only just learned about. And I learned about it from a friend in my congregation in Chicago. And we were at services one Shabbat, and he came up to me, and he said, how'd you like to go to India? I said, Sam, I just got mad. But let's go. When? What? Why? This girl who had been a visitor into the Bnei Menashe communities. And he wrote this article, and I read about it. This is really interesting. And that started a whole chapter in my life that I will always treasure. Some of the best times I had have been with you and with your community. I never dreamed that so many things would happen And it's due to Isaac and to Hillel and to all of you who have worked so hard. And Jessica, who everybody can call, and she answers their problems and tells them what to do. And to Alana, who handled our website, which has done an amazing job. It's just been an extraordinary experience. And it's really thanks to the Indian Embassy for the support. And it's just been really amazing. I look forward to going back to Manipur and Mizoram. I hope I see some of the friends here, and I see some of you that I met. Nemboy, I remember she gave me a beautiful little plant that I have in my bedroom, and every morning when I get up, I see that plant, and I think of Nemboy. I think she also sang a nice song for me when I was there. And Elazar, as Hillel said, I was at the first interview of this. And I think that this book is very, very important, not just for the Jewish community, but for the Bnei Menashe community, because it is giving you an insight into the history of your ancestors, and it's so important. In today's world, we tend to focus on the present, we tend to look at the future, everything has to be instant gratification. And to be able to look back and understand where you came from and how you got to where you are now is so important for all of us. Thank you, thank you, thank you for letting me be a part of your community, and you are a part of my family. Thank you.
Good evening, everyone. Thank you for coming. I think most of you are coming to the Indian Cultural Center for the first time.
Yes.
The center, we have started the center 2 years ago, just before Corona, and as our Prime Minister during his visit, when he has announced the establishment of the center, he told us that this center will be as a bridge between the Indian Jewish community here in Israel and Indians back home. But today, we are glad to have this opportunity where the cultural center is able to play a small role in not being a bridge just between the Indian Jewish community in Israel and in India, but also, like say, between the Jewish diaspora as well. I hope this book will serve as a definitive guide and tool to learn more and to increase the curiosity to learn more about the Bnei Menashe community here in Israel and all over the world. And it's been great. Like say, Isaac has been a dear friend to the MC, and Hillel, I met him once and instantly you start liking it. There are so many anecdotes and so many stories that, you can chat with him for the full day and still you feel like asking for more. So I have gone through the book and interesting stories, especially about your great-grandfather. I found that to be the most, say, the heroic or say, I didn't know that, okay, there are people and there are sometimes, say, people assigned with specific tasks in a tribe and they carry out even those tasks very diligently. You must read the book to understand the story or what I'm talking about. And of course, Simi and Sabra from the Foundation of New Mexico, thank you for helping us, thank you for bringing out this story, and also Gefen Publishing. I was just talking to Ruth and she told me about the connection and we never knew this. So it's always learning for us, and thank you everyone for coming here. We hope you had a great time, and we are sure that you're going to love this book. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Sandeep, for your kind words and the space. And thank you, everybody here who came today, being a part of this event. And I hope you enjoyed it as much as I did.